Okay, well, again, welcome to this, the first Community Coalition meeting of 2022. Really excited to be here today, standing in for our facilitator until he's able to log on. So as always, we will start with our law enforcement leadership update for the occurrences since our last meeting. So we will start with City of Champaign Police Chief Thomas Petrelli. And thank law enforcement for being here today to share these updates.
Thank you, Mary Catherine, and hello, everyone. I wanted to provide an update since our last meeting. The crime rate update is that we have had one additional homicide, and that was on Monday, December 13th, just after midnight. Champaign police responded to the area of 5th and Vine for the report of a shots fired incident and arrived and located a 26-year-old male identified as Deviante Fairman with a single life-threatening gunshot wound. Officers immediately provided medical aid until the victim was able to be transported to a local hospital where he had succumbed to his injuries. And the preliminary investigation indicates that the victim was inside a vehicle when another vehicle approached and began firing. No arrests have been made at this time, but the investigation is ongoing. And an update for there was an arrest made in an October 20th homicide investigation, and we made some progress recently, and that was positive. On Wednesday, October 20th at approximately 10:30 at night, Champaign police had responded to the 200 block of Kenwood Road for the report of a shooting with injuries, and officers located a 19-year-old, Carey Ingram, with a gunshot wound. And we saw after the state's attorney's office obtained arrest warrants on December 8th, the U.S. Marshals Great Lakes Regional Task Force, with assistance of Champaign police, arrested Ariana Colbert, age 21 of Champaign, on charges related to the murder of Quincy A. Hayes, 27 of Champaign, and charges related to obstructing justice. Both suspects were apprehended in Chicago and extradited back to Champaign, where they're awaiting future court proceedings. And there were additional shootings in the city. In addition to that homicide that we discussed, we had multiple other shooting incidents with victims since the last time that we met. Those incidents occurred in the 1700 block of West Springfield Avenue, the 300 block of Bloomington Road, the 1200 block of Redwood Drive, and the 1000 block of Holiday Drive. All four of those shootings are currently under investigation. And as a reminder, all of our press releases with information on shootings are posted on our City of Champaign website. As far as an update on the end of year shooting statistics, as we are all aware, unfortunately, we experienced a significant number of shooting events in the City of Champaign last year, being the highest on record. We completed the year with 259 shooting incidents, and that represents a 37% increase over the year 2021 when we finished with 189. Of the 259 shooting incidents last year, 142 of those led to property damage, which is also a 19% increase over the previous year. 77 individuals were struck by gunfire, and that's also an increase, of being a 35% increase over the previous year. Sadly, we all know that we have had 16 gun-related homicides, and that was represented a 60% increase. In total, Champaign finished the year with 17 homicides. That is the information for the crime update. As far as online reporting and access to citizens, I wanted to remind everyone that we have a new online reporting tool. It's up and running on our website. We've been pleased with how it's functioning and the service it's been providing to the community. Many common non-emergency crimes can be reported online, and that allows you to avoid waiting for an officer to take a report. The online system allows you to submit police reports immediately and print a temporary copy of the report for free. A frontline supervisor will then receive your report and determine the best course of action. It may be assigned to an officer for follow-up, etc. Using the Champaign Police Department citizen reporting system, you can report minor nonviolent incidents such as theft, vandalism, harassment, property damage, traffic crashes, and lost property. And we are continuing to add incidents to the reporting system for citizens to use that. And all that information is also available on the website. And as a final update, I wanted to mention that our officers did participate in Shop with the Cop this year, and they were able to involve 25 families and 55 kids in that Shop with the Cop program. Thanks, Mary Catherine.
Thank you so much for that update, Chief Petrelli. We will now pass the mic to Urbana Police Chief Bryant Serafin for an update from Urbana.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. So I'll start with the year-end numbers for the shooting numbers, because that's clearly a big part of our work. And so as I find the right packet here, let me start by saying, just to sort of, as we start off on a new year as well, what we talk about when we talk about shootings, and sometimes there's, what are you counting? And within our reporting area here within Champaign County and the U of I and Urbana and Champaign, we're counting those events that result in damage to property, damage to persons, injuries, if you will, those that have physical evidence, and those that have multiple reporting parties or witnesses that heard something, but maybe we don't necessarily find something. Sometimes we might take a report in the evening, multiple people report it, but we don't necessarily find anything until the next morning when a homeowner finds damage or something. So I just kind of wanted to set the stage a little bit about what it means when we say we have a shooting. For Urbana, for 2021, we finished at 115 shootings, 115. As a point of reference, it was 53 the year before, and the year before that it was 33. So clearly, far and away our biggest year, and even more impactful than that is that Urbana, we had 10 homicides this year. Prior record was 4. I ran investigations at Urbana here for several years, and I think 2 or 3 might have been the most that we ever worked in a year. So I just wanted to, that's a very large number. And so that's the kind of thing that keeps detectives really moving. And it's not a stat to be proud of, but we will continue to do our investigative work. And speaking of investigative work, so many times we come with some of these situations that don't necessarily have any kind of a where it's been signed, it's been investigated. And as Chief Petrelli just said, they had an incident where they were able to make an arrest. We actually, on a homicide from December 20th, we had 5 arrests that were made out of that one that incident. And that speaks to our some of the work that's being done and the coordination, even with the state's attorney's office. There was a murder from over the summer that we recently, authorities in Arizona were able to make an arrest with an arrest warrant for Urbana detectives. So we were that. And we've also just had, I guess, an arrest warrant issued for one of our shooting events, not a murder, but a shooting event from January 2nd. So we do continue to move forward on these cases. And it does speak to the need we have for citizens to help us. As a matter of fact, one of these most recent arrests, the detective said, well, some family member finally got fed up with covering for person X. So we're glad that people continue to do the right thing. As I always say, we can't do our job without people helping us. We have unfortunately continued some of the pace. We've had 16 shootings since we last met. That was in the beginning of December, but we've had, again, the continues to happen. Enough about that for the time being. I did want to make mention of the Urbana effort with regards to our crisis co-response team. As everyone knows that has come to these meetings regularly, different organizations and municipalities and governmental entities have tried to figure out what works for them and what can we support. And so back in October, somewhere in the second half of October, we actually had stood up a joint effort between the Rosecrans social worker and an Urbana, what we're calling a behavioral health detective. And we've been able to at least start some of that work. And that doesn't mean that model can't morph, change, and adapt over time and adapt to changing circumstances. But we did at least get that up and running. It was up and running. And for, I don't know, the first 6 or 7 weeks, they had 110 contacts or attempted contacts. Some of those are with the same people, but they have the two assigned to that unit have been out and about. If you want more on this, I won't use up any more time today, but the Urbana City Council meeting from December 20th, the video archive is there, and you can skip right to the chapter if you want to on the crisis co-response team. So that's the update for today. Thanks, Mary Catherine.
Thank you, Chief. All right, now we'll hear from Sheriff Herman about the county update.
Good afternoon, everybody, and Happy New Year. So we've had 2 shooting incidents since the last time we met. One was on December the 11th, where 4 casings were recovered and there was property damage, but no injuries. And one on the 17th of December, where there was no property damage or injuries. We have had 0 shooting incidents so far in 2022. Our final numbers for 2021, we ended the year with 28 shooting incidents, and we go by the same criteria as Chief Seraphin mentioned. So 28 shooting incidents and 0 homicides. The 28 is down by 6 from 2020. So we had 6 more in 2020, but it's still twice as many as we had in 2019. So in 2019, we had 14 shooting incidents. 2021, we had 28. That is basically my update, and we continue to collaborate and brainstorm with ways that we can get ahead of this for this upcoming year.
Thanks so much, Sheriff. I see she's already ready, Chief Carey with the University of Illinois Police.
Hi, thanks, Mary Catherine, and hello, everyone. Just to be brief update from the U of I. We haven't had any shootings, unfortunately, on campus, but we've seen a rise in catalytic converter thefts. And from last year, we've recorded over 25 attempted or completed thefts in that regard. And that seems to be kind of a trend throughout the nation. So we're continuing to do proactive work to help mitigate some of those thefts. Additionally, an update on our LPRs. We have those up and running, and they are operational. In various locations. We only have 5, but we had those up and running. On a good note, we had a generous donation of a Samoyed puppies, so we are expanding our therapy dog program, and we are soliciting help from our student government to get that new addition to our team named when the students returned. And finally, we are just gearing up for the return of the students, which they are going to go remote for the first week on the return, and hopefully they'll be back here in town and fully in class at the end of January. So that's it from the U of I, and we'll see you in the next coalition meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief. And last but certainly not least, we'll hear from Chief Matthew Copman from Parkland.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the intro. I really don't have a lot of updates from Parkland. I just want to update that we're in a new year, new semester, and new students. The new students are in person. So we're making those connections, doing our patrols, and giving a lot of direction. So it seems like there's a lot of new students coming back, which is great. And other than that, I just want to thank you for the time.
And thank you also for your time. We know our law enforcement partners are very busy these days, so we appreciate you always making space to share updates with this meeting. So we'll now go into some program updates from some of our partners. As you all know, youth development is one of the cornerstones of the coalition. And so we will hear first from the executive director of the Don Moyer Boys and Girls Club, Charles Burton, who will share an update from their organization.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year to everyone. I'm excited to be here to be able to share a little bit about Don Moyer Boys and Girls Club with you and what we were able to accomplish in the last year and what we continue to do as we forge forward throughout this pandemic and everything that's happening in our community. Don Moyer Boys and Girls Club, next slide. Our mission is to inspire and enable all youth, especially those who need us most, to realize their full potential as productive, responsible, and caring citizens. And we look forward to continuing to do that as we continue. Yes, just talking about our mission is to inspire and enable all youth, especially those who need us most, to realize their full potential as responsible and productive and caring citizens. We want to talk about what we do at the club, and we focus really on a learning system. No matter when you come to the club, no matter our core areas, when you come to the club, we want to focus in on what you're passionate about. Every youth, we want them to find their passion, define their purpose, see their potentials, and then find the pathways to achieve success. And that's a national approach to the learning system, and it's a core part of our areas for our learning system. Next slide. When you look at those are the four arrows that point to what we try to instill in all youth and all families when we get there, because it's more than just serving youth at Don Moyer Boys and Girls Club. While we predominantly serve youth, it takes a holistic approach of working with the youth, the family, the school and local entities as well, because it takes all of us to make a difference. Next slide, please. One of the things we wanted to highlight is our academic support program. That's what we do throughout the school year as far as providing academic support to youth. As we know, dealing with the pandemic and the learning gap has spread, we really made a focus to keep the core areas and the healthy lifestyles and most importantly, the fun of Don Moyer Boys and Girls Club, but really have an innovative approach to academic support. And we are excited to share, that throughout the last year and currently, 80% of the students who we were able to work with, either remotely or in person, maintain satisfactory or school, improve school attendance. 78% demonstrated academic progress in reading and 75% demonstrated academic progress in math. And that's a key focus. And with the support of United Way, that's something that we've been able to really accomplish. And we're proud of that. We're looking forward to having improved numbers this year. Next slide, please. We're in the process now of ramping up throughout the summer. Don Moyer Boys and Girls Club also continues academic support, but we focus on summer learning through we haven't been able to do it this year with COVID, but some of our field trips and making learning fun using our Boys and Girls Club curriculum for Summer Brain Game, which is an innovative strategy to have fun learning involving STEM, literacy, and innovative games and daily games, and where we provide support with youth from 7:30 to 5 p.m. 5 days a week throughout the summer for 9 to 10 weeks. Next slide, please. Some of the innovative programming that we have is our STEM activities and our laboratory activities that we partner with OSF Hospital on, where youth are able to dissect. And one of the highlights was dissecting a shark. We've been able to do a starfish, a shark, and a sheep, and we're looking forward to what the next creature will be. But our youth are doing a great job in engaging in that. Next slide. We wanted to highlight our teen programming, Teen Reach, which teaches responsibility, education, achievement, caring, and hope with our youth. And we're able to serve youth in this program for youth ages 11 through 17, and they're able to participate in the club and focus on that on a variety of programs. We were able to attend a college tour, which we were very excited about. Field trips is the key part of the summer, and we focused a lot on career exploration activities. And we loved our teen talks with law enforcement officers. That was a key element, of the summer, and the youth really, really enjoyed that. We were able to learn how to do fingerprinting and do some riddles and closing out some cases, which was really, really exciting. And we wanted to highlight that we have these sites also at Park Street here in Champaign, and it serves Champaign-Urbana, but also we have our Rantoul site as well. Next slide. Here's a picture of us at our college tour. We always want to show that. We were at Harris Stowe. That was a great, great tour, and we were really, really proud, and the kids were excited to be a part of that. Next slide. We also want to highlight, our CU Change program, which targets, middle school to high school youth using a strengths-based approach to help navigate, the school environment, deal with peer pressures, develop problem-solving skills. And we've had some great results with that program. And that's an innovative approach that's not just solely in the club, where we have staff actually go to schools, work with the families, discuss trauma and how it affects home life and life holistically. And a lot of youth participated in and had some great talks. One of the aspects of that program was Teen Talk Mondays, and we're going to talk about that again. And those are the pictures of just having Teen Talk Mondays, really working with the youth, talking about what's going on in the community, what they are experiencing, and how, giving them a safe place to really express themselves. And this program is in collaboration with the Champaign County Mental Health Board. Next slide. We want to highlight literacy and our Reading Partners program. It's been great throughout. We were able to have 55 tutors and participate in our Drop Everything and Read Dear program. And we were able to read for 3,405 hours. And that's a lot of reading, which is really, really great to help us close the learning gap. We feel as a club, one way to get out of whatever situation is to use your imagination, and literacy is a key element and way to accomplish that. Next slide. We also were able to participate in food distribution with partners, and thus far we've distributed over 11,000 meals and counting, and we're continuing to work with our youth to fill boxes and support our community and give our youth a sense of community as well. And our youth really, really enjoy that, as you can see. Next slide. Our next initiative is our child and family well-being. We're looking to expand services with the hiring of a social worker to help with our youth, to help with mental health and deal with trauma. We are learning that youth are experiencing that at earlier ages, and we want to be a community-based organization to where we can help youth and families have a safe place to where they can come and receive the services and receive help and help those who need us most get the support that they need. And so we're going to help with that, and we're going to have that here as we expand and provide those services to help youth and families. You do not have to currently be a club member, but if you need some assistance and don't know where to go, feel free to come to our Park Street location. We will definitely sit down and help and get services to whatever you need so we can help the whole entire family. Next slide. Wanted to highlight some of our upcoming programs. Teen Talk Mondays, we're bringing that back. Of course, Tie Tuesdays, that's my favorite. But we have DJ courses starting up later this month, entrepreneur classes, music production, Lyricism 101. We're starting up our social media video editing courses. Of course, STEM with RC cars, drones, planes, our career vocational program, college readiness program, and more. And if you have an idea, I want to make my own ties now. So if you know how to sew, we're looking for you. We have some sewing machines to get some programs going as well. But we want to get involved. If you know of a youth in your neighborhood, or if you have a current youth and you want to get them involved, come and join and be a part of the club. You do not have to be a part of the after school program or academic support program or any other specific program to be a part of the club. But if you just want to participate in one of these courses, come and be a club member. We want to provide the opportunities to give our kids the opportunity to be with caring adults and have fun doing what they enjoy. Next slide. Our kids have been superheroes throughout this entire pandemic. So here's a little picture that always touches me because we have Superhero Day. They've been superheroes, and we're so proud of what they've been able to overcome throughout this time. And then next slide, another picture of them attending the University of Illinois football camp. That was a great experience. Next slide, and come join the fun. Come join the fun and come be a part of the club. If you like I said previously, if you have an idea or you have some suggestions, we are always open to hear them, and feel free to come talk to us. You can talk to us anytime. Next slide. And thank you for your time. Charles Burton here from Don Moyer Boys and Girls Club. And thank you for your support and all you do in your community. You can't spell community without you, and we have great people in our community. So thank you so much.
All right, I think I'm in. Can you hear me, MC? All right, so Charles, thank you for that informative update. I did not see any questions in the chat for Charles. Let me say thanks to Mary Catherine for holding it down. Been caught up in a another meeting. So glad to be able to join you, and thank you everyone for your attendance today. So earlier in the year, I think you heard about our exciting new project with the city of Champaign and Champaign schools that we call Lyft. And so now we want to bring on the director of Lyft, Katina Wiltshire. So Katina, thank you for being here and welcome. And yes.
All right.
Laura,
Thank you, Tracy. And thank you to the coalition for this opportunity to share the message of Lyft Champaign. Good afternoon, everyone, and Happy New Year. So the purpose of my presentation is really to give an overview of Lyft Champaign, and I'll start by sharing our mission. Our mission is to champion and empower the positive advancement of African American youth and families. Next slide, please. As Tracy mentioned, Lyft is a collaboration between the City of Champaign and Champaign Unit 4 schools, with Unit 4 serving as the lead entity. Lyft is slated to support youth from grades K through 12 and their families experiencing significant challenges in school and in their personal lives. LIFT is an acronym that stands for Leading Individuals and Families to Transformation. The overall focus of LIFT is really to provide intensive wraparound supports for, again, our students and our families. Our vision is a thriving community that positively transforms the future of African American youth and their families. Next slide, please. Before I talk about some of the issues that prompted Lyft Champaign, I do want to share that Lyft is designed right now based on our data, is data-driven to support 69 families in our district. And we are currently, since our launch, November 4th, at 30 families that are fully enrolled. And when I say fully enrolled, I'm talking about their initial intake, their strength and needs assessment, as well as their initial plan of care are all done. We are continuing to engage families. We have 20 more families that we are actively engaging right now in order to enroll them in Lyft Champaign. A little bit about why Lyft. So here's the why. Just looking at the data, Lyft is designed, again, to improve the lives of African American youth and their families by providing intensive wraparound supports and services that are necessary to build on their strengths and to help them achieve their personal, academic, career, and interpersonal goals. So one of the things that we noticed collectively across the city and the district is that we were having an unprecedented number of African American youth and their families that were struggling across academic achievement, discipline, our suspension data, school absenteeism, community violence, mental health, and trauma. So in the summer of 2018, there was a team of us that got together and began developing the model that later became Lyft Champaign. And so when we talk about some of the data that demonstrates African American youth in need of support, and I do want to make sure that I'm clear about that I make a clear point about Lyft Champaign. It's not about problematizing our youth or our families. It's about a collective awareness and acknowledgement that many of our youth and families need our support, and they have strengths to offer. And it's about partnering with them to help them reach the goals that they've identified for their families. It's also about helping to address and help them navigate the institutional and systemic barriers that have impeded their overall success in life. So again, it's really based on a strength perspective. And so looking at some of the data that prompted the work behind youth, we were looking at academic achievement. And our data showed back in 2019, pre-pandemic, when we had very consistent and reliable data, that in our district, our Black students were performing at 9% proficiency with English language arts as compared to our white students who were performing at a 50% proficiency rate. Similarly, our Black youth in math were performing at a 12% rate as compared to their white students at 42%. So the academic achievement speaks to our why. Our graduation rate speaks to our why. Looking back at our data in 2019, our African-American youth were graduating at a 71% rate as compared to other students who were graduating at a higher rate, 89% for white students, 77% for Hispanic or Latino students, and more, right? The data was higher for other groups of students. Looking at our suspension data, there was a 60% disparity for our African-American youth in schools. In 2018-19, we had 101 students who were suspended 3 or more times. And of that 101 students suspended, 81% were African-American. And looking at our why, we also looked at data from the Youth Assessment Center, and more than 60% of the students referred to YAC were racially identifiable as African-American, although they only comprised of 35% of our overall student body. And the community violence, we listened to the reports earlier, and we know the data sadly and unfortunately continues to increase. I don't have an update for community violence per se, but I think we all have an awareness that this continues to be an evident concern in our community. Next slide, please. So what do we have to offer at Lyft? Again, it's focused on intensive wraparound supports, a variety of resources for our youth and their families, because this work is really focused on the whole child and the whole family. And Charles spoke to that earlier, really about the importance of meeting the needs of the entire family. We offer extended day programs, parent workshops. One of the things that also makes the work of Lyft unique is that we operate a 24-hour hotline. So we are available around the clock in the event that we have youth or families who are in crisis. Mental health supports. We are doing contractual work with some of our local mental health and behavioral health specialists who also have a culturally responsive lens when it comes to treatment. Workforce training is another one of the things that we offer. While this list is not exhaustive, if there are needs of our families, which we identify through our strengths and needs assessments and our ongoing child and family team meetings, we seek those resources and services, and what doesn't exist, and if there are gaps, then we're thoughtful about creating those opportunities. Next slide, please. So the goals of Lyft ultimately are to lift our youth and families out of crisis, to lift academic achievement, lift futures through career and college pathways, and to lift hope and aspirations to save lives. And so some examples, and I won't go into a lot, I know we have limited time, but some examples of lifting youth and families out of crisis are creating family support teams, implementing trauma and behavioral health assessments, and providing counseling opportunities for our participants, developing crisis response coordination. So those are just a few examples of what that goal might look like. A couple of examples of what the goal of Lyft academic achievement looks like would be creating academic support groups, in that really does require collaboration across multiple stakeholders, inclusive of our teachers, community partners, and our families. Really increasing community-based in-school and after-school tutoring options. And I'll talk a little bit more about our extended day program in just a couple of minutes. Lifting futures through college and career pathways. One of our goals, it looks like perhaps expanding our youth employment services, age eligibility, expanding our summer internship experiences and opportunities for our youth, providing college visit experiences. Couple of examples of lifting hope and aspirations to save lives. We've talked about the expansion of an existing model that you all have heard about perhaps before, the Goal Getters, being able to expand that model and the great work that Sheldon and others are doing with a group of young men. Identifying meaningful community mentorship opportunities for our youth. So those are just a couple of examples of what these goals might look like or include. Next slide, please. So a little bit about Team Lift, meet the staff. So as Tracy indicated in the introduction, I am the director of Lyft Champaign, worked in a variety of capacities in the community, both in education and community-based services. And so I'm happy and excited about this work. Lori Thompson is our .5 office manager. Katrina Kendall, Pastor Ricky Parks, and Verdell Jones are all family empowerment champions. They carry active caseloads. They're in the schools. They're meeting with families. They're coordinating services. They're doing assessments. They're ensuring that the care plans are developed and that we are continuously assessing the needs of our youth and our families. And last but certainly not least, Anitra Nance, and she's our parent liaison. And so she does a lot of coordination with our extended day program and coordination of many of our parent workshops. Next slide, please. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I want to say something else about that. We do have one position that is not listed up here because they're not currently a team member. However, we have one vacancy for a family services manager. And this is a shameless plug. If anyone watching, if anyone on here, or if you know anyone who has an LCPC or an LCSW and they're committed to supporting families in our Champaign community, please have them contact me. That is a vacancy we would love to fill. Next slide, please. What you see listed here are 3 of our programs. And so our families who are enrolled in Lyft Champaign are not necessarily participants of the programs, but this is another opportunity, right? And also looking at some of the needs assessment data, you'll see why some of these are relevant programs. Across the needs assessment data, things relative to academics have come up as concerns, social and emotional well-being, parenting resources, and a variety of food insecurity is one of the needs that comes up. And so we've developed several programs that are available to our families. And so Lyft University is one of our programs, and it's our model for parent and family engagement. We provide a variety of parent workshops, resources, and events based on surveys, parent surveys. So we do poll our parents, and based on what they've identified as meaningful and relevant, those are the resources we bring through Lyft University. SEALED is our extended day program, and it stands for social, emotional, academic, life skills enrichment development. And so we do run it out of our Lyft building. It runs Monday through Friday. We're here until 6 o'clock with our youth, and we're working on some of those life skills, some of those academic skills, some of those needs that were identified through the initial assessments, individual assessments. And so we have academic homework help, and we are seeking additional interventionists to meet some of the academic needs that our youth have. Lyft Cupboard is another one of our programs that we've developed, and it is designed to address food insecurity. Not sure if I mentioned this earlier, but Lyft does not have an open referral process. Our data is compiled through the district's information and technology department, and we have several criteria points. One is 3 or more suspensions. Students have 10 or more absences, 10 or more discipline referrals, and food insecurity. So that's just it. Thinking of the Lyft Cupboard made me think about the criteria. So we operate that on site here at Lyft, our Lyft building, and it's for our families that are enrolled in Lyft. Should they have an immediate need, we're here to meet those needs. So if you, this is another shameless plug for donations. We do receive donations of meats and just various kitchen staples such as sugar, oil, flour, and other shelf-stable foods. Next slide, please. So one of the other huge components of Lyft is that we have a research partner, and we were fortunate to be able to partner with CREA, which stands for Center for Culturally Responsive Evaluation and Assessment, through the University of Illinois Office of Public Engagement. And CREA is an international community of scholars, practitioners that exist to promote a culturally responsive stance in all forms of systematic inquiry, including evaluation, assessment, policy analysis, applied research, and action research. So in this work in particular with Lyft Champaign, CREA is really here to help determine the quality and effectiveness of Lyft Champaign. And so their goals ultimately are to identify program weaknesses and limitations, to provide suggestions for program improvement, and to ensure sustainability and institutionalization of the program as an innovative model in support of participating African American youth and their families. So they're here to really ensure that Lyft Champaign is everything that it needs to be for our youth and our families. Next slide, please. Just want to share, thank you for listening. I know I went over a lot and probably more time than I was allotted. So thank you for your patience. Just want to share a video that we've shared in a couple of settings that really is kind of a culminating statement of Lyft Champaign.
Mal. Okay, and I have one last slide, Tracy, and then I'm done. So my last slide is, before I delve into this, I want to quote my supervisor, Dr. Angela Ward, and she often says, Lyft Champaign is not a cure-all,
but it's an all call to our community. And many of our community members often ask, how can we help? How can we get involved? How can we assist? We need you to stand with us to support our families in crisis. We need our entire community to elevate our youth and our families. And so my email address is right there. If you want to get involved, we are always looking for volunteers to help us out with our extended day program, to engage with our youth. And we have a wish list. The link is right there. We're asking for donations of a variety of different donations. So as a community, we genuinely want our youth and families, as it has been said before, to do more than survive. We want them to be elevated, safe, and to thrive. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Katina. Great job. This work is a great example of the strengths of our community. And so for our school district and our cities to come together to make the hard money investment on behalf of our kids and families just shows us what we can do when we believe in the importance of collaboration and partnership. And so thanks for sharing about Lyft. We're going to be excited to have you back in maybe a quarter or so to start telling that story and that narrative about our kids and families and what a difference we're making with them. So thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you.
So hold on for a second, Debo. We're going to adjust the agenda a little bit. So let me thank everybody for joining us on the Zoom today. In consultation with Julie Pride last week and with the state of COVID and rising cases in our community, we decided to go back to Zoom. I didn't really want to do that, but we thought, Jeff Hamilton, who does communications for the city, says, out of an abundance of caution. And so Julie Pride and Carl put out some information yesterday that we wanted to share with the coalition group. We have to be as diligent as we can to keep spreading the message and the information in our community about vaccination and the importance of it. So to share with you, so there's 26 patients, and I think this was earlier in the week, maybe Monday, 26 patients in ICU at Carl. All 26 are unvaccinated. All 26. 0 with 1 to 2 vaccination doses and 0 fully vaccinated and boosted. We have 26 in our hospital that are COVID patients. 135 of them are unvaccinated. 55 have 1 to 2 vaccine doses, and then 16 are fully vaxxed and boosted. So we wanted to share this with our community, share with you why we went back to Zoom today. I hope we're seeing a downward trend and we can come back in person next month. But again, we wanted you to see directly this information to let us know our work is still in front of us to spread this message around the importance of vaccination. Okay, so thank you, Mary Catherine, for posting that. Let me bring up one of my new good friends, Metro Powell at the University of Illinois. Welcome to the coalition. Welcome to your post with U of I Public Safety. And sir, you are on. Welcome to your first community coalition meeting.
Thank you so much, Tracy. I really appreciate that. So everyone, I'm gonna keep this brief. It's only about 4 slides. I was gonna talk about one thing in terms of what I'm working on, what I'm doing, but then I realized, well, this is my first one in a year that I've been in the role that I've been able to actually show up. So I thought I'd, take some time to kind of introduce myself and, what I've been involved with. So next slide, please. Who am I? So as a director of the community development and engagement position, which is a brand new position, well, not brand new, but it's still new at this particular time, being that I'm the first one in it. I'm about to celebrate my 1-year anniversary in the role come next month, Black History Month, how I'll be coming, so I love that. And so I am looking forward to that. And in that role, in the position, working with Chief Carey and some of the other people in the department is basically, me trying to do my best to build the bridges in our community between, different agencies, our students, staff, faculty on campus, and so forth, via ways of programs, doing, presentations, workshops, doing whatever I can creatively think of in order to kind of get people to kind of engage. And so with this year, it was a time of me learning and getting, basically getting my feet wet and trying to figure out just how, what that will kind of look like while trying to do my PhD, which is a reason why I haven't been able to attend these meetings, because the meetings would coincide with the time I have my classes. So I'm currently working, this is my second year working as a PhD student. I do get to utilize a lot of that time working over some of the students, that are my cohorts and things like that, about community, about police work, the work that we're doing, out there in the environment and that sort of thing, and being able to be in a position to kind of ask questions that they're asking. And believe me, there are a lot once they find out that I work for the police department. And so a lot of whys and what are we doing, and all that kind of stuff. So fortunately, I'm in a position to be able to kind of help them out, and while gaining, a lot of knowledge on working on the PhD. And then as a member of the community, there's some things that I've been doing prior to this role and some things I picked up while being in the role. One being an advisor for the rugby and hockey teams. If you didn't know, that U of I does have a rugby and hockey team here, which are two sports I never thought I'd be even associated with in my whole entire life. And I've been with both of those teams for 8 years, and I can't believe it's been that long. So I have the privilege of, advising and mentoring these groups, getting them out there, doing a lot of philanthropy work, community development work, that sort of thing. So that I try to, get them off the ice or off the field and kind of doing more things outside of the athletic side of things. I'm also part of Silver Hearts, which is a nonprofit organization here in Urbana. And with them, and I'll get into what, some of the things that they've been doing in the next slide. And then I'm also with Homestead Corporation Housing Authority Board of Directors, which and that's on that board, I'm able to kind of, get a situation of how some of the lower income housing, works, some of the questions that they have, a lot of questions and, and concerns about law enforcement, what we're doing in our community, the safety of our community, those types of things, to be able to, provide some of that, the knowledge and the background that I have and understanding, being that I'm a person who lives here in the community, and how to help them, be successful and do things in order to kind of progress and get out of certain situations that they may be in at that particular time. And I'm also a member of the Black Faculty and Professional Alliance, which essentially is an organization here on campus. And what I get to do, I'm the fun guy, I guess. So what I get to do is I get to, do a lot of community engagement with that particular group, and getting them involved with some of the things and some in terms of the programs that we're doing, getting the police officers, to come and talk with them, which is something I'm working on now. And then, just planning different events, around campus for our Black faculty and staff and community members who are, associated somehow or affiliated somehow with the university or live here in the community. And so it's a good way for people who are of color, Black staff and faculty and, community members who may feel out of place, who may feel unsafe, who may feel some certain type of way, and not feeling at home or something, or being in an environment that they're not used to be able to kind of feel connected here in Urbana, Champaign. So that's some of the things that I kind of do and who I am. Next slide, please. So some of the things that I have been able to do since being in this role is I created a Coast newsletter. And if you want to be on said newsletter, please let me know and I'll be glad to put you on it. That newsletter tells you about events and things like that that is going on. It has reached the community in a big way. It tells you how to get involved with certain things. It even gives the community as well as the greater community as well as the students to the opportunity to suggest different events or programs or things like that, initiatives that they would like to see done, and it lets you know how to do that. I get to introduce the officers to the community. So every month there's a picture and a little bio of the officers who are able to kind of, the people are putting names to faces and things like that. So the feedback for that has actually been really, really good. So it's kind of good to see who's in the department and through that newsletter. And then, there's things about mental health since we're, dealing with the REACH program and those sorts of things and other self-care tips. So depending on what the month is and, what the situation and what maybe some of the hot topics at that moment, I kind of put that out. And I'm proud to say that now, whether they are reading it or not, I can't tell you, but at least 82% at the moment are opening it. And so the people out there, and like I said, it goes out to the greater community, Urbana-Champaign, as well as the students here on campus. So that's a very high number, which I'm proud to put out there. Things that we have been doing that has been outreach for both students as well as the Urbana-Champaign community is the Blood Mobile, bringing that to the parking lot outside of the department. People are giving blood. This happened in May and November of last year. In May, we had more officers who donated than the community. And then this second time around, we saw a flip, which we was happy and excited to see, where there was more community who came out to donate blood for the cause at that particular time. So I don't know, what that was or why it happened or anything like that. Wish I had data to, kind of support that, but we did see that's what happened. It was a flip. So it was really good to kind of see the community come out for that. Yoga on the quad, that we had that in the summer. I'm looking forward to, hopefully with all this COVID stuff that is going on, be able to kind of do that again. We had that in the summer where a community member came out. She taught yoga. Chief was out there, her and Archie. Archie showed us, how to do some things. He moved, he did his little move, butt up in the air and all that good stuff. So it was really cool to kind of see that with the officers as well as community members and some students who happened to be around this summer. It was amazing. And then there was the Y on the Fly, which we worked with the YMCA, and then the coordinator of that event. At that particular time, we went to 2 different locations working with these kids who are working on different crafts, and there's artwork and all those types of things that we was able to kind of put on a show for them. Had the bomb squad come out and put on do a bomb demonstration, which they were so excited, that sort of thing, and also robot demonstrations and things like that to show how the robots are used to kind of pick up bottles, or obviously it'd be bombs and things like that. So, and having that interaction with the officers and being able to tell them what those robots are being used for. And so the kids really, really appreciated that. And then we, again, like I said, we got to interact, play games, things of that nature. Silver Hearts, as I was talking about, one of the things that I was able to get both police officers as well as the community involved with and helping with that group. Meal packaging for Silverwood residents over here in Urbana, delivering different meals to them, and it was groceries for them to do as they please and cook as they wanted to. So that's happened throughout the year, or the first half of the semester, at least, of not this past semester, but the semester before. And so this was something that was really cool, and over the summer to kind of see that happen. And then the Silverwood Day of Peace celebration we were able to kind of get involved with. There was Cranard there. I believe UIPD stopped by. Some other, agencies and things like that came over, and celebrate and peace in that community, because there have been things happening. So I've been moving around and moving and shaking and doing some things that that sort of thing, as much as I possibly can, and and feeling while finding a place in my footing in terms of the role and getting to know what's going on. Next slide, please. And then some common attractions, the UIP Ambassadors. This is a program that I'm putting together, which will be made of students who will be representations of the department. They'll be out there helping me, being a face, getting connected to our students out there, and essentially will be a student organization or a university organization, since they'll be directly falling up under our department. And so this group will be out there helping with programs and events. I currently have a board of students who are ready to go. We're just doing some finalizations on it and should be ready to go sometime this semester, getting out there and, be it, COVID or not, trying to do some things to kind of get people interacting and building that community and that trust, and being that soundboard for a lot of the officers and things like that to be able to answer questions. A cup of coffee or tea is basically what this is I'm working on right now, hopefully to start in February. So next month, essentially is basically, the officers are currently, they're signing up. Matter of fact, as I'm talking to you, they're signing up right now, to once a month, go to some, coffee shop, be able to interact and have coffee and or tea with a student or community member, that sort of thing. And so I'm putting that together, and this would be something new for us to see and just kind of get the feel of it. And if it continues, to grow and, it kind of works out, the idea will be not just to do, coffee, but, maybe do the afternoon doing pizza or something in the evening as well. So all the officers in different shifts will have the opportunity to engage and do something of that nature. Now, the Coffee and Donut Festival, which will be April 10th, I'll speak more about that come in a couple of more meetings. It's once I have more details to kind of share, but just to give you a preliminary idea of what this is, the Coffee and Donut Festival will have some of the vendors that we have, local coffee and donut shops here. We're planning on it to be on the quad, at the University Quad, and then having them engage. And what the idea would be, people will be able to go around, taste different donuts, get little samples, taste different types of coffees, that sort of thing. There'll be like different activities, bouncy houses, climbing walls, hopefully a dunk tank, dunk some of you Chiefs in, that sort of thing, get Tracy in that water, all that good stuff. And raising money and raising awareness for gun violence, because that's going to be the focus on this particular festival, and educating people about that, and supporting the fact that this is a safe, community to live in and to go to school and so forth. And then the final thing I will say is that under construction police panel, basically what this is that I want to put together a police panel of different law enforcement agencies, Urbana, Champaign, and so forth, and the officers, and where we would go on an under construction tour, where we'll be meeting different people, getting in front of different groups. So like that BFAPA group, love to get in front of them to be able to ask questions, and then, be able to, you ask them questions as well, about the community, about the work you're doing and so forth, and their experiences, and have that kind of dialogue, as things progress. So, and it'll be, in front of students, it'll be in front of, faculty, staff, different groups here in the greater community, that sort of thing, fraternities, sororities, and so forth. So whatever you can think of, I probably will be doing. So next slide. And that's it. Any questions that you have?
I don't see any questions, Demetro, but please put your email and connection activity into the chat. I believe Janice Walker put hers in. She'd be interested in connecting with you and supporting the work that you're doing. So thank you for making it out. In one of my first meetings with Chief Carey, she indicated she wanted to bring you in and help with the community engagement part, and to see that you're the one in this space, real encouraging. So thank you for coming out today to talk about the work that's taking place on engagement with University of Illinois Police. So thank you. All right, so this weekend is Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King weekend in our community, and we've changed things around a little bit as a community this year. So we do have the joint university community-based project, and so Mary Catherine is going to share with you some of the MLK events and activities taking place this weekend.
Hello again, everybody. Yes, wanted to share with you a couple of activities that we have going on in honor of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. You will see first that we are having a countywide celebration on Sunday, January 16th. The doors open for the celebration at Cranard Center at 4 p.m. And we will have a program where we will honor 3 community members who have been working tirelessly in our community. So we want to take time to recognize and thank them, and also name them right now. So Janice Walker, who you just mentioned, is on the line also. So great work, Janice. And also Courage Connection, our domestic violence support shelter and advocacy center. And then finally, James Tiger Corbin of First Followers. So we hope you are all able to come out and enjoy the ceremony and recognize these honorees. Also, I believe it's noted here on the flyer, there is a vaccination requirement. So if you do come to the event at Cranard Center, please bring your proof of vaccination. So that is on Sunday, January 16th. You will also see that there is a unity breakfast on Monday, January 17th, beginning at 8:30 a.m. at the Vineyard Church on Lincoln and Urbana. And there is another event, a Walk for Peace, also on that Monday morning. So if you join the Unity Breakfast and want to walk off those calories, you can join the MLK Walk for Peace, and you'll see more information there, time and where it starts and everything. So we hope that we can see you out at one or more of these events to celebrate the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, and also all the great work being done in our community in the name of peace.
I see that Donna's chiming in that masks are also required at Cranard for this event and the other events that have taken place. Thanks, Donna, for that. So let me thank everyone for coming out. 2022 is going to be our year to carve a new pathway for our community, and just really excited for the work we have ahead of us, building the collaborations to approach these issues, these very challenging issues, together. I hope next month we'll be able to come back to the Holiday Inn for in person, but we won't do that if it's not best for safety spaces, and we'll be forced to do the Zoom again. So thank you, everyone, law enforcement leadership, Katina and Charles and Debo and MC for holding it down for me. Thank you, everyone. We get out a little early today, save you some time for the rest of your day. So peace and love. Thank you, everyone, and see you next month.